Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the Olympic tradition at Tennessee State University. And we're fortunate to have with us the former coach of the women's track team at Tennessee State University, Coach Ed Temple. And Coach Temple, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Haney.
Coach, you know, we've had you on the show before, and you gave us an excellent interview about a large number of things that have happened in the athletic program at Tennessee State University, and especially the women's track program. But what we'd like to do this morning is to talk about Tennessee State University and the Olympic tradition, recognizing that the Olympics will be held in Atlanta this year, and recognizing that you've played a very, very significant role in the history of the Olympics in recent years. And let's have you do that, but let's have you start out by giving us some background information about your education and some of the things that were important in your life and eventually leading you to Tennessee State University.
Well, I guess that takes me back quite a few years. I came to Tennessee State University in 1946 as a freshman, graduated in 1950. In health and physical education and sociology, and then I went on and got my master's in sociology. And then I started coaching the women's track team at Tennessee State University in 1950. I did further study at Penn State for about 2 summers, but I started in 1950, and we won our first national championship in 1955. And then from that time on, I guess we just started to roll. And right now, of course, I retired after 44 years there at Tennessee State. We put 40 young ladies on the Olympic team. 35 of them were USA citizens that represented the United States, and 5 of them, they represented Jamaica, Panama, Trinidad, and Bermuda. Those were some of the countries that the 5 others made up. Of them 40 individuals, 39 graduated with their degrees, and the one that didn't graduate went on and graduated from Chicago State, but she didn't graduate from Tennessee State. So really all of them graduated, but 39 of the 40 graduated from Tennessee State. And then of them 39, we had 31 with their master's degree, and we got 8 with their either MD or PhD.
You know, Coach, today, and I know quite recently, there was a seminar at Tennessee State University in your honor, and they dealt with women in sports.
Right.
And I think one of the issues that generally come up when we talk about women in sports is the idea of gender equity. Let's look at it from your perspective. That is, what did it mean to be a woman in athletics back in the period when you first started with the women's track team at Tennessee State University? Let's look at it from the gender equity point.
Well, my first year, my budget was $300, and we had 1 track meet, and we went to the Tuskegee Relays. That was in Tuskegee, Alabama. And I guess for the first 10 to 15 years, we had no more than 3 track meets. And we would go to places like Tuskegee, in which we couldn't go to the restroom. We had to pull over to the side of the road, and the girls had to hit the field to go to the restroom. We couldn't go to the restaurants when we went to Alabama and various places. Even when we went to the Penn Relays, we got in a station wagon, and we drove all the way to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The only time we stopped was to get gas and to get something to eat. We didn't have the money to stop in a hotel and everything. We didn't get an athletic scholarship as we know it but today until 1968. That meant Wilma Rudolph, Wyman Tice, Edith McGuire, and all of our other gold medal winners had what we call a work aid. Now, work aid, you know what that is, with that you work 2 hours a day doing some kind of clerical work or some kind of work that you had to put in 2 hours of work. So in other words, I mean, what the playing field was very uneven when we would come along, very uneven. It taken us a long while. Eventually, when I finished my last year in 1994, we had a budget of over $100,000 on paper. Of course, now that was on paper. By the time you got it and trimmed it down, it was about $80,000. It started out July 1st with, we'll say, $105,000, but by the time you got it in January, by the time you started your first indoor track meet, it was about down to $80,000.
You know, I think that Tennessee State University has played a crucial role. You've already indicated that you've turned out sent at least 40 people to the Olympics. But let's talk about some of those Olympic events and some of the things that were significant in terms of from your first Olympics to up until quite recently. What are some of the things that stand out in your mind in reference to what you were able to accomplish and how the world reacted to what you were doing?
Well, I guess our first was 1956. We put 6 young ladies on the 1956 Olympic team going to Australia. Of those 6, Wilma Rudolph was one of the high school individuals that was in our summer program, in which we had a summer clinic program, I guess since the year 1951, in which we had high school girls come in and they stayed on the campus, and we went to the national championship, in which we had a senior division and a junior division. But anyway, Wilma made the 56 Olympic team when she was 15 years old. And we had 5 other young ladies, 6 counting her. And it was a great thrill to have them go to Australia. Here's a place halfway around the world. And on the 4x100 relay team of the United States, we had all 4 girls. All 4 girls were Tiger Bells from Tennessee State. And they won a 3rd place. They won a 3rd place, which is not bad when you think at that time it was about 150 countries, and they were the 3rd best in the 4x100 yard relay. And we had 2 high school girls on that relay team. So that kind of started us off. And then, as you know, in 1960, of course, prior to that time, we had United States versus Russia. I was the first coach from the United States to go to Russia in 1958 when we ran against the Russians for the first time over there in Moscow. Now, we were not supposed to do anything because women's track in the United States was very, very low. In fact, I mean, when they scored over there, they usually score in countries, United States versus Russia or United States versus Germany. But United States at that time didn't want to score it that way. They wanted to score it the United States men against the Russian men, United States women against the Russian women, because they knew we didn't have nothing. Tennessee State was, I guess, we only had about 2 track meets a year, and now you are taking a school and putting it against a country. And a school that has very, very limited resources at that. So we had 8 girls on that United States team, and we wasn't expected to do anything. But anyway, I was a coach of the team, and we went over there in 1958 to Moscow. In fact, we had a European tour. We went to Moscow first, then we went to Poland, Hungary, Greece, and England. But anyway, just to make a long story short, we went over there. We didn't know what we was going up against. We knew the Russians were great, and we knew all those other countries were great, because as far as United States, women's track was very little other than Tuskegee, Tennessee State, Alabama State, and Philander Smith. That was just about it. As far as United States was concerned, as far as women's track was concerned. So anyway, we went over there, and we had 8 girls on the team, and we took the 100 meters, first place. We had a young lady named Barbara Jones took first place. We won the 200, Lucinda Williams won the 200. Then we came back and put a relay team together, all of Tiger Bells, all 4 of them were from Tennessee State, and we whipped the Russians over there in that. So we went over there and made a name for ourselves in 1958 to let them know that, look, we can compete. Then we went on to Poland and Hungary, and at that time it was heavy communist countries. They had just finished with the wars over there and everything, and it was quite disturbing to see some of the sights. But we went over there and performed for the United States, and we done very well. So that really kind of opened up the door. Then the Russians came over here in 1959 with the run in Philadelphia, and I coached that team also. And we did very well. Then there was a young lady named Wilma Rudolph ran in that meet. And we had 2 from the United States and 2 from Russia, and she took 4th place, which was last in the 100 meters. But we won the 100 meters with, again, Barbara Jones, and we had Lucinda running the 200. And then in 1959, we had the Pan American Games come up in Chicago. Well, now with the Pan American Games, that represents 37 countries, all of the Northern Hemisphere, from Canada, clear on
Coach, let me
down.
interrupt you for this commercial break, and we'll be back, and we'll pick that up later on.
Okay.